shuttle was small and old. It shook as it entered the docking bay of the Galactic Integration Academy. Inside, sitting alone on a metal bench, was a young woman named. She looked out the window at the massive space station floating among the stars. This would be her home for the next 3 years. It was the first human to ever attend the academy. It was huge. It hung in orbit around a planet with two suns, and its metal arms stretched out in all directions like the branches of a great tree. Ships came and went every hour, carrying students from hundreds of different worlds. Some of these students had scales, some had fur, some had too many eyes or too many arms or too many teeth. All of them were here to learn how to serve the Galactic Council. Now, for the first time, a human had joined them. 23 years old, she had black hair tied back in a simple way. Her eyes were dark and calm. She was not tall, not strong, not fast. By the standards of most species at the academy, she was remarkably unremarkable, just a soft, small creature from a small, distant world. The shuttle landed. She picked up her single bag and walked out into the docking bay. First thing he noticed was the Daring. The warriors stood near the entrance. They were massive creatures, nearly 3 meters tall, with dark scales and 4 powerful arms. Their eyes glowed yellow in the dim light. They were known across the galaxy as some of the deadliest fighters ever born. Their homeworld was a place of constant war, and only the strongest survived to adulthood. One of them, a male named Rovan, watched the human walk past. He had scars on his face from battles he had won. He had killed his first enemy when he was 12 years old. He feared nothing in the galaxy. As the human walked by, something strange happened in his chest, a cold feeling, a tightness. His eyes followed her without his permission, tracking her movement the way his ancestors once tracked dangerous things in the jungles of his homeworld. Pray, something else, something his brain could not name. What is that? One of his companions asked. And Rovan said, from Earth, they joined the council last year. It looks weak, soft. It's weak, Rovan agreed, but he did not stop watching until she disappeared around a corner. Her room assignment on her day pad. She had been placed in Class 7 Apex, a group of students chosen for advanced training. When she arrived at her first class the next morning, she understood why the others stared at her. It was the only human. She was also the smallest person in the room. The classroom was shaped like a theater, with rows of seats going up toward the back. Most students sat in the middle rows. The front rows were for those who wanted to show off. The back rows were for those who wanted to hide. Past everyone, she climbed the stairs to the very last row and sat in the corner near the wall. She took out a small notebook and a pen. Then she waited. The instructor was an old named. They were hunters, thin and fast, with pale skin and large black eyes that could see in total darkness. They hunted by smell and sound, tracking their prey across entire continents without rest. At the classroom and saw the human in the back row. His nose moved slightly as he tried to catch her scent. He smelled nothing. Bothered him, every creature had a scent. Fear, confidence, aggression, submission. He could read emotions the way others read words, but from the human there was nothing, just empty space where a person should be. You have a new species, the term announced. Earth has sent its first student. Try not to break her. Students laughed, most did not. When sat in the 5th row, he had chosen a seat near the door, though he could not explain why. His eyes kept moving to the back of the room, to the small figure sitting alone in the corner. She was writing something in her notebook. She did not look up. At him sat Lyra, a female. She was young but dangerous. Her family had been hunters for 3rd generation. You feel that? She whispered to Rovan. Feel what? I do not know. Something wrong, something about that one. It's just a human. They are prey animals. Then why do you keep looking at her? Rovan had no answer. Passed slowly, attended every class. She completed every assignment. She never spoke unless someone spoke to her first. Her desk scores were average. Her combat scores were poor. She could not match in strength. She could not match in speed. She could not match any predator species in any physical test. Every measurement, she was the weak student in Class 7 Apex. The other students did not treat her like the weakest. They avoided her. And slowly, in the dining hall, the seats near were always empty. In the training rooms, no one wanted to be her sparring partner. In the hallways, other students moved aside to let her pass, even when there was plenty of room. Aim was the first to say it out loud. They were pack hunters, working together to bring down creatures much larger than themselves. They were covered in brown fur and had flat faces with mink teeth. Knight sat with Rovan and Lyra in the common area. His hands were shaking. Studying in the library, he said. The human came in. She sat 3 tables away. She did not speak. She did not look at me. She just read her books. And Rovan asked, to leave? Something in me said to leave. Something old. Something from before my blood language. Nod slowly. I feel it too. When I am near her, my body wants to run, but she has done nothing. She is small and quiet. It makes no sense. Thought about his own feelings. The way his muzzle got tight when she entered a room. The way his eyes tracked her without permission. The way something deep in his brain screamed warnings he could not understand. Maybe, he said slowly, we are not afraid of what she is. Maybe we are afraid of what she might become. The back row of an empty classroom sat alone. The lights were low. Everyone else had gone to dinner. She had her notebook open and she was writing. Names, schedules, pattern, weaknesses. Oh, in small, neat letters. She did not need to look up to know that someone was watching her through the window in the door. She could feel their eyes on her. Had always been able to feel when predators were near. Earth, that feeling had kept her ancestors alive for 200,000 years. It had taught them to watch, to wait, to learn. The predators were always bigger, always faster, always deadlier. Humans learned them, studied them, found their weaknesses. One by one, the predators fell. It was her notebook. She stood up, collected her bag, and walked to the door. When she opened it, the hallway was empty. She knew they were watching. They would always be watching. Months passed at the Galactic Integration Academy. In that time, did nothing special. She went to her classes. She did her work. She spoke softly and rarely. She sat in the back row and wrote in her notebook. Something had changed in Class 7 Apex. But notice at first, he used to sit in the middle of the classroom where a warrior should sit, visible, strong, unafraid. But slowly, week by week, he had moved forward, first one row, then another. Now he sat near the front, close to the door. Told himself it meant nothing. He told himself he liked the new seat. But late at night, when the station was quiet, he knew the truth. But if him wanted to be able to run. Red stopped making jokes about humans. She used to laugh about how soft they were, how slow, how easy to kill. Now she said nothing at all. When other students made those jokes, she looked away. Asked to be moved to a different training group, any group that did not include the human. The training masters agreed without asking questions. They did not understand his reasons, could not explain them either. Watches, he told Rovan one night. Not like Prey watches. Prey watches to find a way to escape. Prey is always afraid. And she is not afraid. She watches like she is luring us, like she is studying how we move, how we think, what we will do before we do it. Rovan understood, he felt it too. Academy had students from many worlds. Most of them did not notice the human in the back row. She was too small, too quiet, too easy to overlook. But the predator species were different. The hunters and killers and apex creatures of their worlds. They all felt something wrong. It was like a sound too quiet to hear, a shadow at the edge of their vision. It was old and cold and patient, and it lived in the space around like a second skin. Prey species did not feel it, though with their soft bodies and gentle ways thought was kind. The small creatures who feared everything thought she was a friend. They did not understand why the predators acted so strange around her. The predators knew. In their blood, in their bones, in the oldest parts of their brains, they knew. They just could not say what they knew. And one night, everything changed. She was walking back to her room after studying late. The hallways were empty. The lights were dim for the sleep cycle. Her footsteps were soft on the metal floor. She turned a corner and stopped. Warriors blocked her path. They were seniors, big and angry. Their leader was named. He was known for his cruelty. He had broken bones in training. He had hurt many students. The teachers did nothing because his family was powerful. Instead, his voice echoed in the empty hall. You do not belong here. Looked at them, her face showed nothing. This is a place for warriors, continued. For hunters, for the strong. He stepped closer. His three companions spread out to block an escape. You are weak. You are prey. You should go back to your little plan. Did not speak. Are you deaf, human? Or just stupid? Reach out with one of his forearms to grab her. Moved it. It was not fast. It was not impressive. She simply stepped to the side and his hand closed on empty air. He stumbled, surprised. Now touch me, said. Her voice was calm, quiet, like water in a deep cave. Yellow eyes burned with anger. You give me orders, I could tear you apart. Yes, said, you could. Looked at him, just looked. Her eyes met his and they did not look away. He had in that moment something would never be able to explain. He felt his heart beat faster. He felt his scales rise on his back. He felt the old part of his brain, the part that remembered the time before fire, begin to scream. And run now, run far, do not look back. That was impossible. He was Apex. He was afraid of nothing. But her head slowly. You should leave, he said. To laugh, he wanted to grab her and throw her at the wall. He wanted to show her his power. His body would not move. His hands would not close. His legs wanted to step back, not forward. You should leave, said again. Now. Left. His companions followed. They walked away faster and faster until they were almost running. They did not speak. They did not look back. The Mooring told everyone that he had let the human go because she was not worth his time. But his hands shook when he said it. His voice was too loud. No one believed him. It spread through the academy like fire. The human had faced 4 warriors alone and walked away safe. No one knew how. No one knew why. Everyone agreed on one thing. Something was different about her. Called to his office. He sat behind his desk and studied her with his black eyes. Tell me what happened, he said. Happened, replied. Some students blocked my path. They changed their minds and left. For warriors do not simply change their minds. It was quiet. Then she said, on my world we have many stories about monsters. Creatures that hunt in the dark. Creatures with teeth and claws and poison. Do you know what we learned about monsters? Leaned forward, what? Are more afraid of us than we are of them. Stood up. May I go? I have class. Watch her leave. He searched for her scent, for some clue, some answer. But there was nothing, just empty space where a person should be. At night, Rovan moved his sleeping room. He asked for a room on the other side of the station, as far from the human area as possible. Began carrying away and everywhere. She told herself it was for practice, but her hand went to it whenever came near. Sleeping well, he had dreams of being chased through dark forests. In the dreams, he never saw what chased him. He only knew it was patient. It would never stop. It would never get tired. In the back row of the classroom, sat alone with her notebook. Wrote about his movements, about the moment his confidence broke, about the ancient fear she saw in his eyes. It said no claws, no fangs, no poison, no natural weapon. On Earth they had been soft and slow and weak, surrounded by creatures that could kill them easily. But they had survived. They had done more than survive. They had become the most dangerous things on their planet. They had hunted the hunters. They had driven their predators into extinction or into cages. They had done it not with strength but with patience, with watching, with the cold, quiet certainty that any creature could be learned and anything that could be learned could be killed. Predators of the galaxy felt this truth without understanding it. Their bodies knew what their minds could not accept. Closed her notebook and smiled. It was a small smile, barely visible. The survival simulation was the hardest test at the Galactic Integration Academy. Every student knew about it, every student feared it, and every student had to pass it. It took place in Dome 7, a huge artificial force inside the station. The dome covered 12 square kilometers. The trees were real, brought from 100 different worlds. The rivers had real water. The weather could change from sunny to stormy in minutes. The hunting drones were very real. They were machines built to act like apex predators. Fast, strong, smart. They could see in the dark. They could hear heartbeats through walls. They could smell blood from kilometers away. They could not kill, but they could capture. Anyone captured was out of the test. It had survived for 72 hours, 3 full days. They could work alone or in groups. They could fight the drones or hide from them. They could do anything they needed to do. Students formed groups. The warriors stayed together, using their size and strength to destroy any drone that came close. The hunters used their speed to stay ahead of danger. They worked in their traditional packs, watching each other's backs. Walked into the forest alone. Instructors watched from a room filled with screens. Cameras covered every part of the dome. Old stood near the main display, his arms crossed over his thin chest. Human is going northwest, a monitoring officer said. No weapons, no supplies, no plan that we can see. We'll be caught in the first hour, said an instructor named. He had never liked that a human was allowed at the academy. We prey cannot survive a hunt. Nothing. He watched the small figure on the screen walking calmly between the massive trees. She did not run. She did not hide. She walked like someone enjoying a peaceful morning. The forest found a fallen tree and sat down on it. She looked around at the shadows between the trees, at the light coming through the leaves, at the small movements of insects in the grass. Then she waited. Drones were programmed to find threats. They scanned every student and gave them a danger number. The higher the number, the sooner they would be hunted. A warrior got a high number. A hunter got a high number. Most predator species got high numbers. At almost no number at all. Drones saw her size, her lack of weapons, her slow movement. Their system called her minimal threat. They moved on to hunt more dangerous targets. This was exactly what wanted. Spent the first 6 hours walking, not running, not hiding, just walking. She moved through the forest in wide circles, studying everything. She found where the drones moved. She found the patterns they followed. She found the places where their sensors did not reach. The observation room watched with great interest. He was the only other human at the academy, an engineer who worked on machines. He had not needed to take the survival test, but he had come to watch his fellow human face it. He's doing something, he said to himself. What is she doing? The screen continued her slow walk. She picked up a stick. She picked up a stone. She found a vine and cut it with a sharp rock. Small things, simple things, nothing that seemed important. Had grown up on Earth, he knew something the alien instructors did not. He knew what pace looked like. First drone found at hour 8. It was a small scout drone, fast and quiet. It dropped from the trees and landed in front of her. Its sensors locked onto her. Looked at it. The drone scanned her again. Minimal threat, not worth chasing when bigger prey was nearby. Turned to leave. Moved it. Threw the stone she had been holding. It hit the drone's left sensor with perked aim. The drone spun around, confused, half-blind. Before it could recover was on it. She pushed the stick into its main computer and twisted. Drone fell dead. In the observation room, everyone went silent. What happened demanded, show me that again. Played the video. They watched the stone. They watched the stick. They watched the human move with speed and skill that did not match her test scores. That is impossible, said. She failed the combat tests. She could barely lift a training weapon. Did not fail, said quietly. She chose to fail. There is a difference. 20 had killed 3 more drones. Each time the video showed the same thing. The drone came close, did something small and exact. The drone died. Something else was happening, something the instructors did not expect. Drones were changing their behavior. Systems were built to learn from each fight, and they were learning that the human was not a minimal threat. They were learning that she was dangerous, more dangerous than the warriors, more dangerous than the hunters. Hour 30, every drone in the force was hunting. Other students noticed the change. Suddenly there were no drones chasing them. The forest was quiet and empty and safe. They did not understand why. Owen stood in a clearing with his companions. Where are they? He asked. We have seen nothing for hours. Red joined their group. They are hunting the human, she said. All of them. I can smell the trails they leave. They all go the same way. That makes no sense. She is one small human. Why would every drone hunt her? Because she is not small, Lear said slowly. We knew this. We felt it. Now the machines know it too. At hour 40 had killed 9 drones. The observation room was full of instructors, all watching in silence. But there was a problem. Cameras near kept breaking. Every time she fought a drone, the video went static. When it came back, the drone was dead and was walking away. No one could see how she did it. Equipment problem, someone said. Same problem 9 times, shook his head. No, she's doing it. She's breaking our cameras before she attacks. How she has no acknowledging. About the stone and the stick, the vine and the sharp rock, simple things, old things. The things in the right hands. Simulation ended at hour 72. Of 200 students who entered, 47 had been caught by drones. The rest came out of the force tired and hungry and proud. Walked out last. She was not tired, she was not hungry. She looked exactly as she did when she walked in. Calm, quiet, her face showing nothing. Final count said she had killed 14 drones. More than any other student, more than any group, more than anyone in the history of the test. Was waiting at the exit. He looked at her with something that might have been pride, or might have been fear. How did you do it? He asked. About the question. I watched them, she said. I learned their patterns, I found their weaknesses. She stopped for a moment. This is what humans do, it is what we have always done. The instructor will ask questions. I know. What will you tell them? Back at the forest, she had walked into that place with nothing but her hands in her mind. She had walked out having destroyed more hunters than anyone before her. I will tell them the truth, she said. I will tell them what humans are. For the first time since coming to the academy, smiled. It was not a warm smile, not a friendly smile. It was the smile of something old and patient and dangerous, something that had survived 200,000 years of predators were learning how to end them. Watched in the observation room, saw that smile on their screen. A single one of them looked away. The council chamber was the largest room at the academy. It was built in a circle with rows of seats going up around a central platform. The seats could hold 500 watts. Today, every seat was full. And in the center of the platform, alone. First sat the council of instructors, 12 teachers from 12 different species. They were the greatest predators and hunters in the known galaxy. Old sat in the center, his black eyes fixed on the human below. The rows above, students watched in silence. Rovan was there, his 4 arms crossed tight. Lear sat beside him, her body ready to run. And come even though he was afraid. Ian was there, the who had run from in the hallway. His face showed anger, but his hands shook. First, you are here to answer questions about the survival test. Your actions were unusual. The council needs to understand. She showed no fear. She showed no worry. She stood in a room full of predators and looked like someone waiting for rain to stop. Destroyed 14 hunting drones, continued. More than any student in our history. You did this alone, without weapons, without help. How? Watch them, said. Her voice was soft but clear. I learned their patterns. I found their weaknesses. Drones learn and change. They should have become harder to defeat. Did. But they changed in the wrong way. They saw me as a big threat and sent all their force to hunt me. This made them easy to predict. When you know exactly where your enemy will be, defeating them is simple. The instructor leaned forward. You failed every combat test. Your strength scores were the lowest we have seen. How could someone so weak destroy a machine built to hunt apex predators? I did not fail those tests, said. I chose to score low. Why? Because you were watching. Because you were measuring. Because you needed to believe I was weak. Room filled with whispers. Raised a hand for quiet. You tricked us, he said. You pretended to be harmless. I did not pretend anything. I simply did not show you what I could do. Looked around at all the alien faces. You asked me here because you want to understand, so I will tell you. I will tell you what humans are. Paused. When she spoke again, her voice was different, older, heavier. On Earth, we were not the strongest. The great cats could break our bones with one bite. The bears could tear us apart with their claws. The wolves could run us down in packs. We had no armor, no poison, no claws or teeth that could stop them. Then how did you survive? Asked. Watch said. We learned. We studied every creature that could kill us, and we found the truth hidden in their strength. We began to walk in a slow circle on the platform. Cats were powerful, but they could only attack for short times. If we kept moving, they got tired. The bears were huge, but they slept in winter. We learned where they slept and killed them in their caves. The wolves worked in packs, but they followed patterns. We led them in traps. Speak of hunting predators, Lear said from above, but your prey, your species has no natural weapon. Walking, she looked up at the hunter. Something cold moved in her eyes. Wrong, she said. We have the deadliest weapon of all. We have patience. The word hung in the air. On Earth, we created something called persistence hunting. We could not run faster than our prey. We could not overpower them, but we could follow them. We could track them for days and weeks, never stopping, never resting. Eventually, our prey would become exhausted. They would fall, and then we would kill them. When felt his heart beat better, he thought of how he'd watched everyone for months, the notes she took, the patterns she recorded. Our ancestors hunted the hunters, continued. We killed the lions, we killed the bears, we killed the wolves, we took their territories, and when they were gone, we looked for new prey. You turned to faith the council. Species evolved to be apex predators. You reached the top of your worlds and stopped, happy with your power. But humans never stopped. We kept climbing. We kept hunting. We kept learning. Now there are no predators left on Earth except us. Stood up. You threaten us. One small human threatened the greatest warriors in the galaxy. Do not fret, said calmly. I explain. You feel something when you look at me, all of you, an unease, a warning, a voice telling you to run. Nothing. His hands had become fists. Feeling said, is the only reason your ancestors survived mine. Your species developed the fear because the humans who came to your worlds long ago were exactly like me. Patient. Watching. Learning. Your ancestors who did not fear them did not live to have children. The room was completely silent. Every face showed the same thing. Not anger, not disbelief. Fear. I'm not here to hunt, you said. I am here to learn, to understand, to find a place among the stars. But you asked what humans are, and now you know. He looked around one last time. Are the species that hunt predators until they were gone. We are the species that learned to fear nothing because we learned to defeat everything. We are the species that looks at the deadliest creature in the galaxy and sees only prey we have not said yet. She bowed slightly. I hope that answers your questions. It had her for a long time. The other instructors could not move. The students above sat frozen. Finally spoke. His voice was quiet. You may go. Walked out of the chamber. Her footsteps echoed in the silence. Steady, calm, the footsteps of someone who had never been in danger. And her, 500 of the deadliest predators in the galaxy sat in stunned silence. They felt something they had never felt before. Ancient recognition of being watched by something patient. Something that had all the time in the universe. Something that would never stop learning. Stayed in his seat long after the others left. His claws dug into the armrests. Every part of him said to run. But he forced himself to stay. Because if humanity ever turned against the galaxy, he needed to understand them. He needed to watch them the way they watched everything else. He needed to learn their patterns and their weaknesses. He needed to become like them. Deep in his heart, he knew that was exactly what the human had wanted. He had taught them all a lesson today. They were all her students. 3 months passed after the council hearing. The academy had changed. Not in obvious ways, the classes were the same. The training was the same. The schedules continued as they always had. But underneath everything, nothing was the same. Started small. When entered the dining hall, the students nearest the door would quietly stand and move to different tables. When she walked through the hallways, crowds parted without anyone seeming to notice. When she sat down in a classroom, the seats around her stayed empty. From hate, from something deeper. Like fear or recognition. Predators had learned what she was. They could not unlearn it. Sat in the back row. She still wrote in her notebook with small, neat letters. She still ate alone and spoke only when spoken to. Nothing about her had changed. The way the galaxy saw her had changed forever. Old had called her to his office a week after the hearing. He sat across from her, trying to understand the creature that had shaken everything he believed. The council has decided you can stay, he said. Some wanted you sent away. They believed humans are too dangerous to teach. What changed their minds? Asked. Did. Lean back. I told them that humans would learn with us or without us. Your species would reach the stars no matter what we did. Better to have humans as students than as strangers. That was wise. Practical paused. I have studied your species since your speech. I have read your histories, your wars, your extinction. He shook his head. I have never seen anything like you. Your planet was full of monsters and you killed them all. Then you turned on each other. You are competitive, said simply. You are terrifying. Without expression. We are also curious, creative, passionate. We build beautiful things. We dream of impossible futures. We are not only destroyers. But you can be. Yes, when we need to be. Silent. Then he asked the question that had kept him awake for weeks. What do you want? Why are you really here? Looked at him with her calm, patient eyes. I want to learn. I want to understand the galaxy. I want to find what place humanity will have among the stars. She paused. I also want to be ready. Ready for what? Whatever comes. She stood to leave. Humanity has been in space only a short time. We are young, weak, surrounded by species that could destroy us, but we will not always be weak. We will grow. We will learn. And one day we will be strong enough that no one can threaten us. He walked to the door, then stopped. Till the day I will watch, I will learn, I will remember. That is what I am here to do. No response. He watched her leave, feeling the ancient fear settle deeper into his bone. The memory of that conversation still bothered him. He saw in his classes every day. He knew she was learning everything, recording everything, building a picture of the galaxy that no human had ever had. And there was nothing he could do to stop her. While the other predators at the academy were learning to live with their new understanding. When it changed the most, the great warrior who had once feared nothing now spent his evenings studying human history. He read about their wars, their conquests, their rise from weak animals to masters of their world. The more he learned, the more afraid he became. It had no claws, no fangs, no armor. They were small and slow and soft, but they had killed everything. Creatures with teeth longer than human arms, creatures that weighed more than human houses, creatures that had ruled Earth for millions of years. Gone, all hunted, all destroyed by these patient watching apes. Now those apes had reached the stars. Spent her time differently. She watched the way watched everyone else. She tried to learn the human patterns, her habits, her weaknesses. She found nothing useful. No patterns that could be predicted. She had no habits that created openings. If she had weaknesses, they were hidden so deep that even a hunter could not find them. It frightened Lyra more than anything else. Started having better dreams, but not because his fear had gone away. He had accepted it. He had learned to live with it the way prey animals learn to live with the knowledge of predators. Human was dangerous. This was simply true. Fighting it was pointless. Better to stay out of her way. Better to hope she never turned her attention to him. This was how prey thought. Had never thought this way before. He had always been a hunter. Now he understood what it felt like to be hunted. The dining hall one day walked up to his table with his food. He was the only other human at the academy, and he was the only one who would sit with her. Does it bother you, he asked, how they look at you now? Down her fork, no, they are finally seeing clearly. They are afraid of you. Yes. Does that not make you sad, to be feared by everyone? Looked around the dining hall, the warriors who had once mocked her, the hunters who had laughed at her species, the who had called her prey. They all watched her with the same expression, careful, cautious, the look that prey gives to predators it cannot escape. Earth, she said slowly, there is a creature called the spire. It is small, it is quiet, it sits in a corner and waits. Most creatures ignore it because it seems harmless, but the spire is patient. It builds its web one thread at a time, and eventually everything that underestimated it gets caught. You compare yourself to the spire. But humanity to the spire picked up her fork. We are small, we are new to the galaxy, everyone underestimates us, but we are building our web one thread at a time. Someday the galaxy will wake up and realize it is caught. Chill, he was human too, he should feel proud. Instead, he felt something closer to fear. What happens then when the galaxy's caught? It was a small smile, almost gentle. You will see what kind of species we truly are, whether we are destroyers or builders, whether we bring fear or peace. She met his eyes. I hope we choose wisely, I truly do. Across the dining hall, Rovan watched the two humans talking. He had spent months trying to understand them, trying to learn their patterns. Learned many things. Humans dreamed every night. They formed bonds stronger than any other species. They could love so much that they would die for each other. They could also hate. They could wage wars for generations. They could do terrible things to their own kind. Humans were not monsters, but they could become monsters when they chose to. And the choice was always theirs. Her back row seat, writing in her notebook, continued her work. Name pattern strengths, weaknesses. Galaxy, slowly being mapped by quiet one who missed nothing. Web growing one thread at a time. The alarm woke everyone at midnight. Lights flashed in the hallways. A loud sound filled the station, the sound that meant danger. Real danger, not a drill. Rushed from their rooms, confused and afraid. Instructors shouted orders. Security teams ran past with weapons ready. Calmly through the chaos, she had been awake already, reading in her room. She joined the flow of students heading toward the main assembly hall. Old stood on a platform at the front of the hall. His face was serious. His voice carried over the crowd without effort. Minutes ago, we received a distress signal from Mine Station 7. The station is located on one of the moons below us. It has been attacked. The room went silent. Do not know who attacked or why. Communication with the station has been lost. The station has 200 workers. 43 of them are students from the academy doing their practical training. Rumors ran through the crowd. 43 students, friends, classmates in danger. Rescue team will be sent immediately, continued. Senior combat students will form the main force. Metal students will provide support. Engineering students will work on restoring communication. And carefully, she watched the instructors assign teams. She watched the students volunteering. She walked to the front and stood before. I want to go, she said. The room went quiet again. Looked down at her with his black eyes. You are not a combat student. No. Scores in fighting are the lowest in your class. I know. Then why should I send you? Looked up at him. Because I can help. Because I understand things others miss. Because 43 lives are worth more than your doubts about me. To her for a long moment, he thought about the survival simulation. He thought about the 14 drones she had destroyed. He thought about the fear that lived in every predator who looked at her. Very well, he said, you will go. If I step forward, I am going too. You moved beside him, and I. Through the crowd, count me in. Students came forward. 20 combat students, 10 medical, 5 engineers, and 1 human. Rescue ship launched 30 minutes later. It was a fast military vessel built for quick strikes and emergency responses. The students sat in the cargo bay, checking weapons and equipment. The air was tense with fear and excitement. And in a corner away from the others, she had refused a weapon. She carried only her notebook and a small toolkit. Fred sat near her, watching her the way he always did. Are you afraid? He asked. No, said. 43 people may be dead, and unknown anyways for us. We do not know what we face. I know. And you are not afraid. Looked at him. Fear is useful, it keeps you alert, but too much fear makes you slow, makes you make mistakes. I feel what I need to feel, nothing more. When thought about this, humans are strange. Yes, we are. The ship dropped out of fast and light speed above the moon. Below them, Mine Station 7 sat in the shadow of a massive crater. It was a collection of metal buildings connected by tubes, surrounded by mine equipment. Half of it was on fire. What happened here? Lear whispered. The ship landed near the main entrance. The rescue team moved out quickly, weapons ready. The air was thin and cold. The ground was gray rock. The sky was black, filled with stars. The station was silent, except for the crackling of flames. They found the first bodies near the entrance. Her students cut down where they stood. The wounds were strange, made by weapons no one recognized. What kind of weapon is this? A soldier asked. Down to look at the wounds. She dusted the edges, carefully studying them. Blades, she said. High frequency, military grade. This was not a random attack. This was planned. How do you know that? Rovan asked. Cuts are clean, precise. The attackers knew exactly what they were doing. They targeted the security team first, then moved inward. This was done by professionals. Rovan looked at her with new respect. You learn fast. I learned everything. Moved deeper into the station. More bodies, more destruction, but also signs of life. Some workers had hidden. Some had escaped to safer areas. Rescue teams split up. Combat students went to secure the area. Metal students went to help survivors. Engineers went to restore power. Went to the control room. It was empty when she arrived. The computers were damaged but not destroyed. She sat down and began to work, connecting her toolkit to the main system. What are you doing? Have followed her. He was part of the engineering team. The out who did this said. Her fingers moved across the keyboard. The station has cameras, security logs, communication records. The attackers destroyed the main systems, but the backup data might still exist. Worked in silence for several minutes. Watched, amazed at how fast she moved. There said, she pulled up a video file. Screen showed the attack, dark figures moving through the station. They wore armor that made them hard to see. Their weapons glowed with blue light. I do not recognize that armor, said. Voice was cold. It is designed a species from the outer systems. They are pirates, slavers. They attack stations like this and take prisoners to sell. How do you know about them? But everything stood up. The attackers took 31 prisoners. They are probably still on the moon waiting for their ship to arrive. How long do we have? Maybe 2 hours, maybe less. Walked out of the control room, followed. What are you going to do? He asked. I'm going to find them. She stopped and looked at him. Tell the others, tell them to prepare. When I find where the prisoners are, we will need everyone. You are going alone. Work best alone. She started walking again. 2 hours, make sure they're ready. Disappeared in the darkness of the damned station. Stood there for a moment, unsure what to do. Then he ran to find the others. Sighed in the cold darks of the moon, began a hunt. Moved through the shadows like a ghost. She found tracks in the gray dust. She found signs that others would have missed, broken equipment, dropped items, the patterns of movement that told a story. Attained the prisoners to a cave system half a kilometer away. They were waiting there, hidden, expecting no one to find them. They had never met a human before. They did not know that hiding was pointless. They did not know that patience was the deadliest weapon in the galaxy. They did not know that the quiet one walking toward them in the darkness had been hunting predators her entire life. They had never lost a hunt yet. The caves were dark and cold. They had chosen well. The entrance was hidden behind a pile of rocks. The tunnels went deep into the moon. Normal sensors would not find them here. But was not using sensors. Stood at the entrance looking at the ground. Footprints in the dust. 31 prisoners walking in a line. 8 guards walking on the sides. The marks were fresh, made less than an hour ago. He followed them into the darkness. Were large creatures twice the size of a human. They had gray skin and 4 eyes that could see in total darkness. They were known for their cruelty. They took prisoners from weak species and sold them to the highest bidder. The Galactic Council had been trying to stop them for decades. They had never succeeded. Were too careful, too smart. They never left witnesses. They never left evidence. They appeared, struck, and vanished like ghosts. But tonight they had made a mistake. Tonight a human was hunting them. Through the tunnels without making a sound. She had learned to walk silently on Earth, where noise meant death. She had practiced for years, until her footsteps were lighter than falling leaves. The guards never heard her coming. First one was standing alone at a junction in the tunnels. He was looking the wrong way, watching for threats from deeper in the caves. He did not expect danger to come from behind. Looked at him for 30 seconds. She watched how he stood, how he breathed, where his weapon was, where his weak points were. Then she moved. It was over in 2 seconds. A strike to the back of the knee brought him down. A strike to the throat stopped him from calling out. A strike to the head put him to sleep. Silent, quick, efficient. Took his communication device and kept moving. At the station had gathered the rescue team. They stood in the main hall, weapons ready, waiting for word from. And paced back and forth. She has been gone too long. We should go after her. Said to wait, relied. She said she would find the prisoners. As one human against an unknown number of enemies, she will be killed. She shook her head slowly. No, she will not. How can you be sure? Because I have seen her hunt. Lear's black eyes were distant. In the survival test, she moved like nothing I have ever seen. Silent, patient, deadly. The drones never had a chance. Drones are machines. They are living warriors. That makes them easier. Lear looked at Rovan. Machines do not feel fear. Living things do, and fear is what she used best. The caves had taken down 3 more guards. Each time was the same. Watch, learn, strike, move on. Did not know she was there. Their communication devices stayed silent. They thought everything was fine. They were wrong. Found the prisoners in a large cave deep underground. They were sitting against the walls, hands tied, mouths covered. Students and workers terrified but alive. 4 guards watched them, weapons ready. Of the guards, 4 was too many to take at once. She needed a different approach. Looked around the cave. Rocks on the ceiling, cracks in the walls, a ledge running around the upper part of the cave. Plan formed in her mind. Climbed the wall silently, finding handholds in the rough stone. She reached the ledge and moved along it until she was above the guards. She picked up a small rock and threw it. Rock hit the far wall with a loud crack. 2 guards spun toward the sound, weapons raised. They moved away from the prisoners to investigate. Dropped down behind the other 2. First guard died before he knew she was there. The second turned, eyes wide with shock, and she hit him in the throat before he could scream. 2 investigating guards heard the bodies fall. They turned back, raising their weapons. It was already gone. Searched the cave, 4 eyes scanning the darkness. They saw nothing. They heard nothing. But they felt something, presence, a threat, something watching them from the shadow. Out one of them shouted. His voice echoed off the walls. We know you're there. Silence. Guards moved closer together, back to back. Their weapons pointed in all directions. Their 4 eyes searched every corner. They did not look up. Dropped on them from above. When it was over, she stood alone among 4 unconscious bodies. She was breathing hard. Her hands were shaking slightly, but she was unharmed. She had done it. She had won. Walked to the prisoners and began to untie them. Their eyes were wide with shock and wonder. They had watched a single human defeat 4 warriors in less than a minute. Or you, one of them whispered. My name is, she said. I am here to take you home. Use the communication device to contact the rescue team. I have found the prisoners, 31 alive, 4 guards down. There may be more enemies in the tunnels. His voice came back immediately. We are on our way. Minutes later, the rescue team arrived at the cave. They secured the area, treated the wounded, and prepared to move the prisoners back to the station. Owen walked up to. He looked at the 4 warriors lying on the ground. He looked at the humans standing over them. You did that alone, he said. It was not a question. Yes, sir. Why your size, they have 4 eyes. They can see in the dark. They are trained killers. Yes, sir. And you beat 4 of them by yourself. Looked up at him. Her face was calm. Her eyes were steady. Earth, she said, we hunted things much worse than this. We hunted creatures that could swallow us whole, creatures that could crush us with one step, creatures that had ruled the world for millions of years. She paused. We killed them all. Felt the old fear again, the ancient warring in his blood. Why, he asked, why did you risk your life for these people? They are not human. Some of them have mocked your species. Some of them have called you prey. It was quiet for a moment. Then she said, on Earth there is a saying, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. What does that mean? Means that humans do not fight alone. We form bonds. We protect those who are with us. She looked at the prisoners, now being helped to their feet by the rescue team. These people are my classmates, my fellow students. For now, that makes them mine to protect. And if they were not your classmates, smiled slowly, then I might not have come so quickly. Owen did not know if she was joking. He suspected she was not. Rescue mission returned to the station, then to the academy. The prisoners were safe. The enemy had been defeated, and one small human had done what trained warriors could not. The days that followed, the story spread through the academy. The human who had fought alone in the dark. The human who had taken down 8 guards without a weapon. The human who had saved 31 lives. Predator species did not know what to think. They had always believed that strength came from size and speed, and now her weapon had none of those things. But she had one anyway. She had something they were only beginning to understand. Patience. She had observation. She had the cold, careful intelligence that had let humans rise from weak animals to masters of their world. Now that intelligence was loose among the stars. Galaxy would never be the same. 1 year had passed since arrived at the Galactic Integration Academy. Station looked the same. The classes continued. The training went on, but everything was different now. Everyone knew about the human in the back row. Everyone knew what she could do. And everyone was afraid. Galactic Council had given a medal for her actions on the moon. She had saved 31 lives. She had captured 8 warriors. She had done what no one else could do. She had refused the ceremony. She had asked them to give the medal instead to share with the engineering team. She did not want attention. She did not want fame. She wanted to keep watching. Called her to his office one last time. It was near the end of the year, just before the final examination. He sat behind his desk and looked at her with his black eyes. "We'll graduate at the top of your class," he said, "despite your low test scores at the beginning, despite everything." Scores were a choice, reminded him. "Know that now? Lean back. The council has asked about you. They want to know what you will do after you graduate. They want to know if you will serve them." "What did you tell them?" "Told them the truth, that I do not know, that no one can predict what a human will do." That was honest. It was also a warning. The voice grew serious. "You have changed things here. You have changed how every predator species sees humanity. Before you came, humans were weak animals who got lucky. Now they see you as a threat, perhaps the greatest threat the galaxy has ever faced. Consider this. Good," he said. "Good. You want to be feared." "Want my people to be safe?" She looked at him directly. "Humans are young, we are few. We have been in space for only a short time. Without fear, the stronger species would crush us. They would take our worlds. They would make us slaves, but fear keeps them cautious. Fear makes them respect us. Fear gives us time to grow. And when you have grown, what then?" Silent for a long moment, then she spoke slowly. "We will be wise. I hope we will use our strength to build, not destroy. I hope we will be friends to those who accept us and fair to those who oppose us." She paused. "But I cannot promise. Humans are unpredictable, even to ourselves." Slowly, "That is what frightened me most." She had stood up, but fear is not always bad. Sometimes it keeps you alive. He walked to the door, then stopped. She said, "For letting me stay, for giving humanity a chance." "Did I have a choice?" It was a small smile, almost warm. "No," she said, "you did not." Left and sat alone in his office for a long time, thinking about the future. Graduation ceremony was held in the Great Assembly Hall. All the students were there, all the instructors, even representatives from the Galactic Council had come to watch. With her classes, their names were called. When her name came, the room fell silent. Then slowly the applause began, not the loud cheering that greeted the warriors or the hunters, something quieter, more respectful. More afraid? For the ceremony, there was a celebration in the dining hall. Students laughed and talked and said goodbye to friends they might never see again. The predator species stayed in their groups. The prey species stayed in there. Sat alone at her usual table in the corner. To join her, as he always did. "What will you do now?" he asked. Holmes said, "Earth needs people who understand the galaxy. I will teach them what I learned here. And then? I will wait, watch, see what happens." She looked around the room at all the alien faces. "The galaxy is changing. Humanity is part of it now. We need to be ready for whatever comes." "Do you think we will be ready?" "I think we have no choice." Finished her drink and stood up. "Goodbye. It was good to have another human here." "Goodbye. Try not to scare too many people." Laughed. It was a soft sound, almost gentle. "Cannot promise that either." Walked toward the exit. As she moved through the room, conversation stopped. Eyes followed her. The predators who had spent a year watching her, learning to fear her, gave her space without thinking about it. The door, Rovan stood with Lyra, and they had become something like friends over the past year, united by their shared experience of the human. Stopped in front of them. "Bye," she said. "Thank you for your honesty. Your fear taught me things I needed to know." Rovan looked at her. He had spent months trying to understand humans. He had read their histories. He had studied their wars. He had watched hunt in the darkness and save lives in the light. He still did not understand them. But he had learned to accept that. "Bye," he said. "If we ever meet again, I hope it will be as friends." "Do I?" She looked at all three of them. "Remember what you learned here. Remember that strength is not only about claws and teeth. Remember that the quiet ones are sometimes the most dangerous." "We'll remember," Lyra said. "We could not forget if we tried." Then she turned and walked out of the dining hall. Doors closed behind her. The room, 500 predators let out a breath they did not know they were holding. Through the hallways of the academy one last time. She passed the classrooms where she had sat in the back row. She passed the training rooms where she had pretended to be weak. She passed the observation deck where the instructors had watched her destroy their hunting drone. Had learned so much here, about the galaxy, about the species that filled it, about the dangers and opportunities that waited among the stars. She had also taught them something. It taught them that humans were not weak prey animals. She had taught them that patience was a weapon. She had taught them that the quiet ones, the ones who sat in the back row and watched, were sometimes the deadliest of all. Reached the docking bay and boarded her shuttle. The small ship lifted off and turned toward the stars. Her the academy grew smaller. The planet with 2 suns fell away. The galaxy opened up before her, vast and full of wonders and terrors. Sat in her seat and looked out the window at the endless darkness. Was going home, but she knew she would be back. Humanity was just beginning its journey among the stars. There would be more challenges, more enemies, more lessons to learn and teach. And she would be ready. She would always be ready. Because that was what humans did. They watched, they waited, they learned. and when the time came, they acted with all the cold pain and precision that had made them masters of Earth. The galaxy was much bigger than Earth. Humans had never been afraid of size, had hunted things bigger than themselves since the beginning, and they had never lost. Closed her eyes and smiled. The back row was empty now, but the watching would never stop. It was not going to start now. She would decide what they learned next. In the darkness of the empty classroom, it looked like a predator showing its teeth. And that was exactly what she wanted.